Hi there. Welcome to part two of Towards a Gnostic Meditation. You know, there is a story of a student who rather mistakenly asked his Zen master, "How much should I crave enlightenment?" And after the Zen master had pulled his unfortunate student out of the water where he'd been practically drowning him, the Zen master asked his student what he had been thinking whilst he was drowning in the river. And the student said, air, air, that was what I was thinking. And the Zen master said, quite so, that is how much you should crave enlightenment. And so craving for air should be how much you crave gnosis or crave the results of meditation. And as I said before, you begin, I suppose, by a spontaneous contemplation on sorrow, suffering, fear, boredom, dissatisfaction, but not only of your own fear, etc., but also the universal sorrow, the suffering of humanity, in an objective way, not in a pitying way or self-pitying way, but in a objective way that there is much suffering, and you are like the medicant or the doctor, the physician, that is looking at observing this suffering, and you realize that you crave uh, the panacea, you crave the way out of this matrix of suffering and death and pain and fear and boredom and distraction and dissatisfaction. And so you crave that as much as you crave air, and that will take you to the meditation side of things, to not exactly meditation, but I call spontaneous introspection. Or you can crave, and you can crave every kind of distraction um, in order to compensate, in order to provide some sort of compensatory energy, which is usually something to do with pleasure or even joy and happiness, the pursuit of happiness. And these cravings come on you, and you satisfy these cravings temporarily. And so you can fill your life with every kind of distraction. And this is life in the demiurge, the realms of the demiurge, which is full of sorrow and pain and suffering, or almost bolstered or augmented by periods of temporary pleasure and distraction. And you will crave these distractions, of course, to the very core of your heart. And sometimes they can become addictions, which is an altogether much more serious condition. But even if you never get to the addiction level of craving, there are this craving for superficiality and for superficial enjoyment. Whereas the actual craving for air, which the student had when he was under the water, if you crave introspection as much as you crave addiction, crave your distractions, then you might be getting somewhere. In actual fact, recently I've had a couple of sessions of introspection where I thought to myself, this is actually very pleasurable. Just withdrawing quietly into myself and into my own thoughts and into my own being, as it were, and to just pure consciousness and just becoming aware of pure consciousness without the distraction of thought even. And this is actually quite pleasurable. And of course, I thought of the Hindu formula, Sit Sat Ananda, Ananda being bliss. And it was actually blissful. I didn't try to stay there. I didn't try to use that as a distraction. It was just a sort of, byproduct, I suppose, of introspection, and that was pretty nice to have. And so, but the craving inside for gnosis, the craving inside one's heart for soul awareness and for God awareness, that is satisfied by meditation, by introspection, and is satisfied in a very golden way, in a very profound, intimate, beautiful way. So there is pleasure to be had, in fact, intense pleasure to be had from the path of meditation, the path of introspection, rather than the path of distraction and superficiality. And you can go very deep within. Now, it's not going to happen every time you do a meditation. Sometimes, nothing will happen. Sometimes there will just be distractions and you won't get anywhere at all. And that's okay as well. It's not like you're trying to set up a duality between this is good meditation and distraction is bad. It's just that distractions bind you to the demiurge, whereas meditation, introspection, liberates you, however fleetingly, into the supernal worlds where you can actually experience the supernal worlds in microcosm, in a sort of tiny microcosmic level, I suppose. But that level is pleasurable enough. So think what it would be like to experience that for all eternity. And then you will crave meditation like you literally crave for air. It is the promise of future liberation that is the air that you breathe.